All right, so I ended up picking up a bunch of these $2 minis, and they ended up being like little mummies, and they're really cute, and I figured they'd be good for Halloween time. So I'm probably just going to start off by priming them black. So I'm pretty much just going to coat the entire mummy in black. Just a thin layer of black kind of all over. Even the base, I'm going to do the base down here as well. So now that I got my mummy primed, I'm going to go in with Steel Legion Drab. This is what I use on most of my leather materials, but I think this is going to be a great start for a base color for all of the mummy wraps. So I'm basically just going to paint his whole body, but I'm not going to go in the direction of the wraps. I'm going to go against them and kind of just leave some black spots behind where I can. And I'm not going to worry too much about the base because I'm going to go back into that with some other colors. But I just kind of want to leave some of that black behind. Not a whole lot. I don't want it to be a complete dry brush because we are going to go over this and dry brush this with a different color. But I want to get it mostly covered in this color if I can. And I coated his entire body, even the top little, either you could do it leather or metal. I'm not sure. I might keep it leather just because I don't know what kind of mummy he is. And there's a couple little details down here that I'm not too worried about. I'm going to highlight those probably at the very end because there's a lot of dry brushing involved in this. And you can see I have a little bit of the black under here. I don't need a whole lot. There's a little on his hand, a little bit underneath here too as well. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's just mostly covered. And I didn't really worry about getting it in his eyes either, because I'm going to probably make those a different color as well. Next, I'm going to use an Airgrax Earthshade wash. And I'm pretty much just going to coat them all over again with this wash, just to highlight all of the little wraps so you can kind of see them a little bit better. Yeah, that really does make a lot of the detail pop. And I would definitely give this a little bit of extra time to dry, especially if you're like me and you like to leave a little bit in those little seams here, just to give it a little bit more shadow. Plus, the paint that I'm going to be using next absolutely cannot mix with this. Otherwise, it will not look correct. It'll basically just look like this again. So give that an extra minute to dry and we'll be right back. And now that that's completely dry, we can go in with our dry brush of Bone White. And this is one of my favorite parts because you get to see all of the detail when you do this. And I don't need too much because it's just a dry brush after all. Oh, sorry. Just want to make sure I have a paper towel handy in case I need to wipe too much paint off. But I am just going to lightly glide across and highlight all of those wraps. And that's going to give it a lot more mummy color, I guess. So after I got him all dry brushed, I'm going to go back in with the Steel Legion drab. That was the brown color that we used, or the leather color that we used before. And I'm actually just going to go back in and I'm just going to highlight this leather piece that he's wearing. Just because I want that to be a lot different of a color. So any dry brushing that I got on that area will disappear and then it'll be a different brown color, which will break up a lot of those wraps. I did, however, want to dry brush this area here because it does look like there's a couple little wraps there. I don't want to cover them up. And I think maybe a little piece of jewelry as well there that I'm going to leave a lighter color just so I can do it a different color. Like I said, I just want to try to break up a lot. And I used the wrong color. Oh, I love doing that. It's okay. I didn't mess it up though. So we're good. But just want to make sure I get all around. And do that entire piece. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of the Steel Legion drab and just dry brush a little bit over some of his wraps just to warm them up in a little bit, like just a couple areas, just so everything's not completely white. I want it to be a little dirtier. And that just, like I said, warms things up a little bit. And I'm just going to go in with our Airgrax Earthshade wash and go right back into this leather area here. I just want to highlight those little stitches in the back and the little ridge on the edge here. And I do want to get a little bit in here where these little details are, just to highlight that little jewelry or wraps underneath. So you can see here, you get a little peek at his toes and maybe a little bit on his face. And I kind of want to make that like a bluish kind of flesh color because, you know, mummified. So I'm going to go in with some Talassar blue. Not sure about these names, but I'm just going to take a very small amount of that. And I'm just going to try to fit it in where it kind of looks like those wraps are open, where his eyes are. And it doesn't seem to be a whole lot, maybe just on the one side is where I'm going to put that. And right on his toes as well. Just like that. And the reason why I'm using this paint is because it's a little more watery than the normal miniature paint. This is another contrast paint. So that'll get in all of the little cracks where I need that to be before I dry brush it with some wolf gray, which is like a muted blue. So I'm just going to take a very small amount of that wolf gray, which, like I said, it's like a very dull blue, and just slightly dry brush. I know this is a very small spot. Right in there, just to cover up how bright that blue is. And I know this is a very small spot, so it's hard to do it on camera. I apologize. But I will just show you guys afterwards. It's going to look a lot less vibrant, and that's kind of what we're going for. Then I'm just going to go in with a very small amount of matte white dry brush, just to even dull that down even more. Like I said, we don't want it very blue, but we want it like a dead flesh color. And you can probably see it a lot better on the feet. Just like that. And I'm actually just going to go in with a little bit of army green and just make some of these parts look like they're green and moldy. Not a whole lot, just some here and there, just to break up all of the mummy wrap color. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of this Retributor Gold just because it's very bright for some of the smaller little details here. And I'm pretty sure he has like a little thing on his head. I just want to put a little bit of gold over that, just to highlight that a little bit. And I think right here he has something like a little charm. I'm also going to put gold there. Sorry if that was off camera. But I can also just do a nice little edge of gold here as well, just to highlight that little edge. Just like that. So for his eyes, I do want to make them look like they're glowing, and I just have a little bit of neon green. It is the Gamma Green, to be exact, by Huge Miniatures. It's a lot of the neon paints that I use is by that brand. So I'm just going to make sure I don't have a lot of paint on my brush at all for this because they're so small. but I kind of just want to fill in just a small amount. And if you get a little bit on the outside, I normally just take my thumb and press that, and that'll get anything on the outside. Then it won't be completely round either. And that makes it kind of look like his eyes are glowing. And I do have 2 more mummies that I got to do eyes for, and I will show you guys the best one, honestly. His eyes are tricky. Okay, and I honestly don't mind how these came out. And if I take the black light, you can see that their eyes glow. I could even turn this light down a little bit more too, so you can see the glow a little bit better. And all we got to do is our base, and we're pretty much finished. So for the base, I'm just going to go around with some of the original black primer that we used and just clean up around his feet. Just like that. Because I think I'm going to do this base, like a stone base. So a black base coat is perfect for that. So to do the stone base, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of uniform gray, very dry brush, and just kind of glide across the bottom just a little bit. And there are some bones there. I'm just going to highlight them a little bit. But I kind of just want to go over all of this entirely with a nice light dry brush. I know that's a little hard to see, but you can start to see the detail in the base. I'm just going to take a little bit of the bone white, and I'm actually just going to paint the little bones on the bottom of the base. So I'm going to be very careful when I do this. I just want to glide right over the shape. And it's okay if you get it in like the little crease, but I kind of just want to do my best just to get it in that general area. And I'm going to put a wash over this just to kind of fill in that little gap in between the bone and the base, so it just looks a little bit cleaner, because right now it definitely looks a little messy. And I don't think our bones should be that bone white, so after the bones dry, I'm just going to go in with some Airgrax Earthshade Wash and just dirty them up a little bit. Because I think that off-white is a lot better than just the regular bone white on its own. And there you go. We have our finished mummy. And if you guys got to this part in the video, I mean, you could always hit that like button and subscribe for my next one. It really helps out the channel, and I personally would appreciate it a lot. Till next time, guys.